All right, good morning. We're going to start by talking about transaction workflow. Everybody loves transactions, right? That is your moneymaker. But the one thing that everybody forgets is to follow up. I see so many people, what they do is they get a transaction, the deal sheet goes out, and then everybody takes a nap. I've seen it happen so many times with agents that we've done other deals with, agents in the office. Don't be that agent. So I'm going to talk to you about the correct way of doing your transaction workflow and what it should look like. So you have an offer. Ooh, I'm so excited. Yay, we have an offer. So let's talk first about the offer process. So offers should be complete. What does that mean? Your signed offer form, your agency disclosure form, fair housing disclosure form, lead paint form, pre-approval or proof of funds, and optional items like the COVID-19 form and the buyer questionnaire. We'll talk, so the buyer questionnaire is really important when you have co-op deals because that buyer questionnaire talks about, income, do they own anything, who's going to be living there, do they have pets, credit, which is all very, very important information when a buyer is purchasing a co-op. All offers should be discussed with the owner or listing agent using the buyer profile to support the supporting documents to show the ability of the purchaser to buy. So again, that buyer questionnaire is there to give your either owner or the other listing agent the confidence that your buyer is the right buyer for this property. They have the money, they have the credit, they are the buyer for this property. Allow the listing agent or owner to decide on an offer. Sometimes it could take a day or so, depending on how many offers that were presented. If the offer is accepted, confirm if the buyer wants an inspection. Normally for co-ops, inspections don't happen, but I did see it once or twice so far in the last 8 years that I've been working in real estate. There occasionally people do want to do an inspection on a co-op, but most of the time it doesn't happen. On a case-by-case basis, buyers will decline an inspection or ask for an informational purposes only inspection. What does that mean? Well, let's say that there were several offers on a property, it's a hot house, and they're really looking to move forward very fast. So what happens is the buyer will say, you know what, I don't need an inspection because I want the seller to choose my offer. Just make sure when you make that deal sheet, it does say buyer declined inspection. And occasionally the buyer will go forward and sign a contract, but then just say that they would like to do an inspection for informational purposes. Let me say this, can they go back and try to negotiate afterwards? If they've signed the contract already, it's going to be difficult, but they can. After an inspection, you're going to discuss any items that must be fixed. Example, if there is termites, let's say there is, a leak, something's wrong with the plumbing. You have to think about what is really important. So if it's something major like structural, electrical, plumbing, then the buyer can perhaps ask for some credit. If it is something simple, I've seen crazy things and I've heard crazy things. The lock on the door needs to be changed. The handle on the toilet bowl needs to be changed. Like silly things like that. That's not something that a buyer can receive credit for. It's something that maybe the owner can fix. But you'll do that negotiations afterwards. Make sure the owner and the buyer have attorneys ready. If not, there are some on the agent link page under the who to call section right on top. Send them 2 or 3 to choose from. You never want to just send them one person. You want to give them the option to choose. And then once both attorneys are confirmed, a deal sheet can be completed. Make sure that you're adding the details to the loop so that the admin team can make a deal sheet and send it to the attorneys involved. For Staten Island, it must get listed as an acceptance on Cyborg. Contract beginnings. So the seller attorney will send the contract out to the buyer's attorney. The buyer's attorney will review, maybe write up some changes. Seller attorney will review, respond to the changes. It goes back and forth a few times until all of the details are worked out. During this time, do not take a nap. Stay in touch. That's why I have it in bold. Stay in touch with your buyers. Make sure that things are going smoothly. Ask them if they know what changes were made. Can you help with anything? Do they know when they're signing? Did they speak to their attorney? Have they been involved in this at all? Once the changes are worked out and the buyer has they have the appointment to sign, make sure you ask them, did you leave a down payment check? Make sure you bring your check to leave a down payment check. Their attorney normally will mail out the contract to the seller's attorney. Suggest that they do so by overnight mail. Put it in your buyer's head so that they can tell their attorney. Because I have seen some deals happen where the seller attorney will send out a contract snail mail and it takes a week for the other attorney to get the contract. Bad, bad, bad. They need to get contracts need to happen fast, right? Especially in hot markets with hot houses, things happen. Other offers come in, deals can fall apart. You want to get this contract signed fast. So suggest to your buyer that they talk to their attorney and speak to them about overnight mail. Attorneys also may use email signed contracts. Just like we use .loop to digitally sign, a lot of attorneys, especially nowadays, are using digital signatures. If that is an option, it will absolutely help the deal move faster. So once the seller attorney gets the signed contract, they'll review it, call their client to sign. Once that happens, make sure that you request a copy of the contract. At that point, it is considered fully executed, okay? And put that fully executed contract in your loop. Once you are in contract, the buyer can now start the mortgage process. Confirm with the buyer the mortgage rep that they are using. Just because they gave you a pre-approval for X bank doesn't mean that that's the bank they're going to use. I've seen plenty of times buyers shop around after they get an accepted offer and, they're, oh, well, I might use this bank, I might use that bank. Make sure you know what bank they are using, and that mortgage rep has your phone number and you have that mortgage rep's information so that you can keep in touch throughout the process. Make sure that the mortgage rep has a copy of the contract and that you know when they're meeting the buyer. Build that relationship with the mortgage broker. If it's Freedom, beautiful. We already have a lovely relationship with them. They will keep us up to date. If you have a relationship with the mortgage rep that the person is using already, beautiful, because there will be communication there. Once the buyer meets the mortgage rep, make sure they have your cell phone number to make an appointment when the property is ready to be appraised. If you are on the buyer side, this should happen as well. Not only when you are on the seller side. The appraiser should be calling you for your deals. From contract to commitment. So once the appraisal is ordered, it can take about 72 hours before an appraiser is assigned to it. Make sure to call the bank if you do not get a call from the appraiser within 2 to 3 days from the time the order was placed. Again, bold, bring comps to the appraisal. Make sure you build rapport with the appraiser so that you can communicate with them once the process is complete. But bring comps to the appraisal. If you do not bring comps to the appraisal and your appraisal comes in low, you didn't help it. You didn't help it. So I'm not saying that your comps will be the be all end all, but it will help. Bring them to the appraisal. If you send them to the person afterwards, if you tell them, hey, if you need comps, let me know, boom, you lose. Follow up with the bank about 5 to 7 days after the appraisal happens so you can find out if the report came in and if it was at contract value, meaning that the house was appraised at the contract price. If the house was appraised at value, the buyer will be issued a commitment letter within about a week or so, give or take. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, depending. Check in with the buyer and the loan officer to ensure they receive the commitment. Let the seller know if it is your listing, or let the listing agent know if it is not your listing. Again, in bold, communication is always key. Communication, communication, communication. I always tell you guys to write things on your forehead so you can see it in the mirror. You probably have a lot of things written on your forehead right now, but communication is key. The one thing I could tell you is call all people all the time.